What's up guys, welcome to Blake's Garage. Today I'm going to be working on the 2016 4Runner, and unfortunately it's going to be a pretty major thing to be working on. So the transmission is slipping. Right after I bought the car, it literally started slipping between first and second gear shifts. I had to give the car kind of more throttle. Under heavier throttle it would shift okay, but if I didn't do that, the car would give a nice shudder feeling. And yeah, it would even rev up and like just slip in between gears. Well, that worked for about 3,000 miles as I was like, I'll just drive around the issue, which I did. And I also did a full flush, mind you. Full transmission flush. The fluid was super dirty. Let me show you what it looked like. Little urine sample right here. So this is supposed to be nice and bright red, and as you can tell, it's very burnt and very brown and dark and black. So not good. The slipping has progressed quite a bit more. Now in first gear, it's shuddering and doesn't really want to engage. Now there's a possibility it's just the solenoid, but I don't really want to do that right now as I bought another transmission. So yeah, why kind of throw in a valve body and those solenoids when I got another one. It's warranted for a year, and let me show you what I got. It's in the back of the car. Transmission is right there. This guy right here, I picked this up in Rancho Cordova, Benzene Automotive. It's got a torque converter in it and everything. You can see right there. 700 bucks, 56,000 miles on it. Should be good to go. So we're gonna get under the car and have a little fun. Not really, I don't think it's gonna be fun at all. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. But let me kind of go through the process with you of what or how I'm gonna go about this. First things first, keep your ground clean. So I got a nice 10 mil tarp. This is from like Harbor Freight. This is because when you pull your transmission, a lot of the time that torque converter is gonna wanna pop out, and then all your transmission fluid's just gonna start leaking out. It's gonna be absolutely sick and awesome. But where I gotta start first, skid plates. I'm gonna remove all the skid plates. So I have RCI skid plates under here. I've removed them before, not that big of a deal. Secondly, drive shafts. So I'll remove the rear drive shaft and front drive shaft from the transfer case. Now, not completely, I'm just gonna have it hanging, but we'll remove it from the flange right there. Then I'm gonna remove the actual transfer case itself separately. Now you can pull the transmission with the transfer case, however, you can kind of see how it's at an angle. That's extremely awkward on a jack or whatever. And yeah, just not the funnest thing to have, I don't know, probably another 80, 100 pounds on something that's already 150 pounds most likely. That's not really fun. Something I forgot about, exhaust. That's gonna be annoying. I did definitely forget about that. I may have to remove the exhaust. That kind of sucks. Totally forgot about that. So there's that issue. Maybe this crossover tube right here, possibly at that flange, just right across. Man, I'd love to reroute this. It would be so much better if this crossover happened like right back here or something. It would be a lot better. But anyways, so we're gonna take that off. Then from there, gotta get the flywheel flex plate bolt undone on the torque converter, which will be up front. There'll be some little inspection hole up on the front here, which I will show you guys. We gotta turn over the motor and get each one of those loosened up and whatnot. We'll hit that, and then between this, I gotta drain all the fluid, so I'll probably do that first after I take the skid plates off. That way we have less fluid possibly leaking on the ground. Hopefully it'll make things a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner to work with. Then just possibly, I'll see, I'll let you guys know at that point, but I might loosen up the motor mounts maybe or something, or the rear is hopefully gonna squat down a little bit, and I'm most likely gonna go with very long extensions from the back of the transmission here all the way up to the bell housing at the rear of the engine, and hopefully that makes my life a little bit easier to where I don't have to get into those tight places with just some super long extensions. I have some like 3-foot extensions that work pretty well for this application. And then we throw it on a jack and then we do the whole thing in reverse. Good way to save on labor. I don't really want to spend $2,000 to have someone do this if I can do it myself, even though it sucks. Let's get these skid plates off. Let's get under there and start doing it. Right at about its level. So this is a 19mm bolt, which, I mean, isn't surprising, honestly. point, want to make sure our e-brake is set. I'm gonna put some wheel chocks under the front wheels, and I'm gonna go ahead and start removing the drive shaft. This rear flange we'll go ahead and remove first. The rear we'll just let hang, which will totally be fine. I'll probably just put probably a zip tie on it or something, and yeah, we'll start getting that going. But I'm also gonna drain the transfer case now as well. That way, just in case when I'm disconnecting this, any fluids come out. So I gotta put it back in 4-wheel drive. Put it in 2-wheel so I could spin it, and then you put the transfer case back in 4-wheel so it locks up. I'm gonna have to hit this with a hammer. Oh yeah, hammer, or do I hit it with the Milwaukee, my dad? Oh yeah, maybe sometimes these work as hammers. Yeah, I may end up taking it off at the back. I don't know. Shaft, it's been a pain in the ass to get off. I'm trying to compress it, and it's on sleeve. I don't want to take the studs out. May have to. I don't know. I took one out, and I'm like, oh, okay, those are studs. Ugh. That much. It's got quite a bit of oil in it too. So, all right, there we go. Cool. Drive shaft is off. Taking out the cross brace, I guess, as I see some extra areas where I gotta get the bolts. So hopefully you don't have the same issue I have here, but a lot of my stuff is bent from smashing on rocks. So like cross braces that should come off fairly easily have been expanded. And I'm gonna try to put them on my press and straighten it if possible. I don't know, because some of this stuff is actually like, seems like it almost stretched the steel. But yeah, so this hopefully is easier for you if you're doing this. I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the diff fluid, but something that's kind of interesting that I didn't really notice here, the transfer case is literally not even supported by any bracketry or anything. Like, it's got this weak little skid plate, which honestly I may take off because I have the other skid plate, so it doesn't totally make sense to me to have two, but whatever. I don't know, maybe two's better than one, who knows. So it's got those couple little things, but yeah, it's supported by this bracket right here, and this bracket does the whole trans by this little trans mount right here. So, oh shit, I forgot, I actually have all these bolts out, but that's okay. I don't think it's gonna fall because it's connected to the engine. It may kind of lean back a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the jack prepared so that I can get under here. And then I'm gonna start taking out these transfer case bolts right here, all the way around. But first, let's get the fluid out of this. All right, that looks pretty clean. Not bad, that's good. There's a whole bunch of 12 millimeters up here. Okay, so just gotta disconnect just a few little connections up top. I gotta figure out this shifter linkage, I guess. I disconnected the vent tube. There's a couple connections up here that I gotta get to real quick. But you can see these are like for the 4 low and all that stuff, and the 4 high. I got this little bracket off, but just gotta disconnect these little connectors really quick. Like that. And this one, how does this one work? I might have to mess with that one a little more. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, didn't die. Current update. It's been sucking. I'm extremely dirty. I'm extremely wet. It started raining. Literally been trying to mess with the starter motor. Can't even see. Woo! Literally been trying to mess with the starter motor for the last, I don't even know, 2 hours. The positive terminal nut on there was like, oh my god, just rusted. Did not want to come off. I thought I was gonna break the stud. Didn't. I think that stud is actually copper. But definitely gonna get a new nut for that. Now the damn starter motor does not want to come off, like out. It's being a pain in the dick. So yeah, that's really fun. Bell housing, boom, 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 boom. Took pretty much all of them out except maybe the top two, I wanna say. And I have another one on the side. So right now what I'm trying to do is just bust the freaking torque converter loose from the flex plate. That's literally all I kind of have left to do, and then the tranny's out. So I think I'm gonna hope that it's better out tomorrow, and I'm gonna start this up tomorrow morning again, and hope that stupid starter motor will come out. I sprayed it with some WD-40, so I don't know. I think so like today I got, let's say, 90% of the stuff out. And I started at 9 o'clock-ish this morning. The last two, and it's 5 o'clock now, so yeah, it's been a while. I think I'm done for today, and I'll be back. Okay, so starter motor is right here right now. I got it loose, if you guys can kind of see that in my hand, right? Does not really come out of here easily. I put two bolts, the two bolts that are in the spot, that's where this little hump is, right here, in the bell housing. See that little hump in the bell housing there? Those two bolts. So I used those two bolts, and I used a piece of wood against the bolts, one top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, until I was able to drive this starter motor out. This thing did not want to come out for crap. Definitely difficult, and I disconnected all the wires first. The positive wire on there, disconnect your battery when you do so, but oh my god, that thing was basically rotten on there. So I gotta find a new nut for that, because that thing was not cool. So if you wanted to get your starter out now, I don't even know. I think they're saying you can like bring it out through here possibly. So we may try that. I don't know. We'll pull this down, maybe try to turn our tire and kind of see what happens. They're saying you might have to take a control arm off, which doesn't sound fun. I don't know. Can I grab that up through here? Not really sure. Also have the steering shaft, so yeah. Toyota did not make this one very accessible, I must say. Probably the most pain in the ass part. So I'm trying to get to the flex plate bolts for the torque converter. We got, I don't know, 4 or 5. I gotta turn this over manually, undo those, then we can get the last 2 bolts on top of the transmission. I undid all the connections and everything, and we can pop this out, put the new one back in. This has been the hardest part, the starter motor and this flex plate part. Everything else, tedious, time-consuming, annoying, doable. This part I was stuck for like about 2 hours yesterday, and in the last 10 minutes I've gotten this out. I don't even know how much you guys can see in there, but just believe me, behind that steering shaft, all the way down in there, you gotta get to this little stupid cap. Okay guys, so to get the torque converter bolts off, you're definitely gonna need 2 people. You're gonna need someone at that front flywheel, or at the front crankshaft, and someone down in there. So I went ahead, got all of the bolts off the transmission. I swear to God, those things were torqued to like 200 foot-pounds or something. So we got all the bolts off right now. Got 2 in the bottom just for safety measures. My buddy Chris came by. Thank you for the help.
No problem.
Would not be able to do it without him. So definitely need a buddy for this part. But I would say you could do probably about 80% up until you do the flex plate bolts yourself. And then this is gonna be the pain in the ass part. Hopefully it just comes off nicely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, cool. I mean, I have quite a bit of tension up.
Back towards the back. There we go, that's good. Okay. Now that I can see all the harnesses.
This is just like, oh yeah, this is just how you put it in. All right guys, day 3 on the 4Runner transmission. So last night, I kind of didn't even film any, sorry about that guys. But basically, I put the transmission in, which consists of putting the transmission in. It's kind of the same way you take it out, and we got it pretty well bolted in there. There's still a couple bolts that need to be taken out, but what I need to do, and I probably should have done this before I even put the transmission in the car, I need to drain the pan. So this one I did a full flush. I had Toyota do it after I purchased the car. I wanted Toyota to go through it and say, yes, it's messed up or whatever, which, by the way, Toyota is a horrible place to go for any diagnostics, anything on your car. They're like, yeah, it vibrates, might be the suspension. They're idiots. Transmission slipping, I don't know. It was a waste of like $800, and they barely wanted to even flush the fluid. So it was very annoying. Don't go there for that, but for the dealership that I was trying to let them know 3 days after I bought the vehicle, I wanted to let them know that it was messed up, and I wanted to go to the official place, which was Toyota. So anyways, they said they replaced this filter in mine. I can't remember if they actually did. I feel like they were like, we couldn't get the part, it doesn't have a filter. No, this is the filter, okay? So that's a filter. This is the gasket for the pan. And like I was saying, I probably should have popped this off before I installed that transmission into the car, just to kind of get an idea of how it looks. Like if there was metal or something in there, that'd be bad, and I just wasted a lot of time. But we want to check that now before we go any further. So we're gonna drain the pan, we're gonna pop the pan off, and I'm gonna put this new filter in and everything. As far as something I should have done from the beginning, this was that little cross pipe section. I did have to take this off. I didn't want to take it off because I thought that, well, I didn't want to replace these gaskets, which I bought. They were very inexpensive. They're like $8 at O'Reilly's, so not a big deal there, whatever. But I was worried that these bolts were not gonna come off because they were super, super ass rusty. So I hit them with a MAP gas torch and got them off. The downpipe one, I did snap a nut. It does seem like there's enough thread on there, but you can see I snapped that right in it. Not an awesome scenario, but it does look like I have enough to get a nut back on it. So I think we'll be fine on that, and it'll be all good. Also, over here, as far as doing the flex plate bolts, you're definitely gonna need a friend. So two-person job to take out the transmission and put the transmission in on that crankshaft and on that flex plate area. Starter motor is a pain in the ass to get out, but you gotta reach your hand in here, find the bolt holes, put the bolt holes in. There's one torque converter bolt that is black, okay? It's slightly blacker than the others. The other ones are pretty much zinc coated. That's the one you're gonna wanna put in first. It has a slight shoulder on it. I don't remember if I showed it. Slight shoulder on the bolt down at the bottom, and that helps align the flex plate to the torque converter. I was able to reach my hand behind there and kind of move the torque converter and get those two lined up, and it worked out. And then my buddy was like turning it over and all that stuff. But I want to kind of get the starter motor back in today, I think, and like I said, that little trans service. So I think we'll do the little trans service right now. A little sticker, it's like, we remove the, they say they remove it. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Not really sure. I don't remember if I drained this transmission. We gotta drain the transmission before this. I wasn't even thinking about that. So that's what the fluid looks like. It is not red. It's kind of brownish, clearish. It's not super, super dark, but it's also not red like it should be. So you can tell 56,000 miles. And I assume this was in a stock 4Runner. You know, you need to do 30K interval services. So I got this little crush washer for the pan or whatever. Okay, so the spec on that is 15 foot-pounds with the new crush washer on it. So go ahead and just torque this, get it reinstalled, then we will drop the pan. So right there, perfect, 15 foot-pounds. All right, so this is why you read when you pick something up from the auto record. So you can see right here, this little hole up at the top, that is where the filter goes. It does not have a filter. On the tag it said, replace the filter, we remove the filter. I'm doing that. And yeah, it is removed. Now one thing that kind of sucks is it doesn't have the bolts in it, which it looks like I need 4 bolts, which are like right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's kind of annoying. So I gotta figure that out. But here's all the solenoids. You know, we got 1, 2, what do we got? 3, 4, 5, 6 shift solenoids. This was something I was actually thinking about swapping out, like swapping out the valve body. If it acts up again in the future, I may try this, because I've heard sometimes you can just replace the solenoids on these and it helps it out. So, you know, that could be a future test, but for now, I wanted to go with, you know, something that's gonna be, I don't know, just a little bit better. So let's get that pan in there if we can. Like I was saying, the one thing that sucks, I might have to pop my other pan off and steal the bolts from my other tranny. Dang it. Should have done this myself, but on the other transmission when I first bought the car. And there's an O-ring in here, so we're gonna pull that O-ring out. That one's old. We got this new O-ring here, so let's make sure it's got a little bit of lube on it. And this filter is literally going to pop right into the transmission just like that. Put in the filter. I just torqued those bolts to 8 foot-pounds, just like I'm gonna do the pan, because they seem similar, like a little 10, what was it? A 10 millimeter bolt. And I did that on my digital torque wrench. Got one that came with this kit that's kind of, you know, cheaper AutoZone. This was 40 bucks, right? $40, whatever. I also have an OE Toyota one, which I think this gasket alone probably cost me close to 20 bucks. I do like the OE a little bit better because the actual gasket material is, it's got a different look. It almost has like a little bit of, I don't know, like a corky vibe in it as well. So I'm into that more. So we're gonna go ahead and put that one in over just your standard cheap rubber one. I trust this just a little bit more. So also it lays a lot flatter and all that. So pretty cool. We'll throw that in. So I went ahead and wiped this all out. You can see the magnets in there. Those actually remove. So you can take them out, you can clean them up. They looked really good. There wasn't anything like, you know, chunky or anything. Just very, very, very slight bit of, you know, dark stuff on them, but nothing crazy. So that is great. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that gasket on there, and then we can put this pan back on and throw a little bit of fluid in it and get it up there. All right, so I went ahead and bolted all those in to 8 foot-pounds on all of the bolts. So we're good there. There's no fluid in here. There's a new filter in here. So that is good. Now I gotta put some fluid in it, I guess. Honestly, we should probably, yeah, get to that. All the bell housing bolts are on. Went up there with a large extension to get up in those really tight spots up there to get those bell housing bolts. Everything looks good. I think what I'm gonna do now is I have to figure out how this little shifter assembly goes back in. This little spring situation popped out. I guess it goes like this. Put in the transfer case, so these are all 12 mils all around there. Got the shift linkage reinstalled and everything like that. There's these connectors for the 4 high, 4 low. They're just, you know, some switches basically. I'm assuming they close or go open or whatever, depending. And that's where those connections hook up there. I got the shift linkage all hooked up. This is for the oxygen sensor, which goes on the downpipe secondary cat right here. All these lines hooked up here and all the way up there at the top for like the breathers and all that. We got this little connector right here, which I'm assuming is, I don't know, like neutral or something, or park safety switch, who knows. This is like the control unit module and all that. But yeah, we can get the drive shaft back in here in a second. That'll be good. Actually, I'm gonna get this starter motor. I gotta get that new nut, so I'm not gonna do that yet. I'll warm up the transmission. We'll get it all filled up and all that up to operating temperature before I kind of put in all the cross braces. But let's fill the transfer case with some fluid and get this drive shaft back on. Apparently the way you drain this and add fluid is this right here. That is the fill plug. This is the transmission drain plug. And this is kind of like the overfill, or the dipstick, if you will. You actually crack this open once the transmission is heated up, and fluid will leak out. And when it stops leaking, I think it's when it gets to 100 degrees. When it stops leaking out, that's when you know it's full. So right now, I'm just gonna go over up here. We're kind of gonna pump a bunch of fluid into it, maybe overfill it, get this thing to heat up, get the car like, you know, started up and all that stuff again. And then, yeah, do this transmission fill thing. I put a little over a full thing of transfer case fluid in there. It says 1.25 quarts for the transfer case, but I mean about 1 liter, which is 1.05 quarts, worked for me before it started flowing out. Transmission, I went ahead and put 4 quarts in there. I'm gonna go ahead and wire up the starter motor. So there is the starter motor right there. Goes over, that's the positive wire. You wanna have the battery off, obviously. There is the ground wire over here. There's a 10 mil up on top. And that starter motor will not come out of this area. Not here, not there. You'd either have to drop the diff or you gotta remove the upper control arm. Real pain in the ass. Really stupid design actually for Toyota. Pretty stupid, but yeah, that thing's back on there now. They're all bolted up nice and tight on the transmission. Got like a little bracket that goes from here to here on the catalytic converter to just kind of make sure that doesn't wiggle or whatever. I'm putting on these new gaskets right here. Pick these up from AutoZone or Kragen or whatever. Hopefully these ones work out well. These old nuts, man, I may have to grind these off if this doesn't work out. Actually, it's probably a good idea to grind them off, but we'll see. All right, so basically I got the car started. Starter mode is not being amazing on me. I think maybe the starter motor doesn't like me. I might have to adjust it, or I don't know if the connection's very good because it was sort of rusty. But we're looking to get this thing to 100 degrees. Right now we're at 126. Right at 100 actually. Right at 100. Up here a little closer, 120. But down here in the bottom of the pan, we're right at about 100, 101. So what we're gonna do actually is we take this, and then this little guy right here is the fill line. So we're gonna open that up, and then what drains out is excess. If we don't have it draining out, it should be like pretty solid. Then I need to add more. But I did what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarts. I have 12 total, so if I need to add more, I'll add more. But yeah, that's where we're at currently. Let's pop that off and see what happens. So right now I'm draining it out. As you can see, it should stop draining out in a minute here. I made just a slight mess with that, but it's good. That's why I have that thing down. So yeah, we're about full right there. You can see it starting to break. Okay, so that took a long ass time. Not fun. Do not recommend to do this. It's kind of a necessity to save like multiple thousands of dollars to fix this thing. But now, hey, I got a very good understanding of the Toyota drivetrain, so that's good. Put my sockets back. I got to clean up all my junk. I was hoping that wasn't gonna happen where my fence slams on the car. Likes to do this when there's wind, which is great. I need to put like a stake in here or something. This is kind of sketchy, I must say. But anyway, so let's take it on its first drive. It felt like it's moving, so that's a big plus. Yeah, let's try her out. We're kind of low on fuel too, so. The initial drive backwards feels decent. I really need to put gas in this thing. Where are we at with the mileage? 22 miles. Definitely. Very smooth. So it was making some noises before all that, and I've been having to put this thing in like first gear. I should just be able to put it in drive, which is pretty cool. Look at that. Load it up. Heyo. Oh yeah. Let's feel that second gear shift. Smooth as butter. Very nice. Whack a little. Give her a little beans. Oh, it feels very nice. I'm liking it. 10 out of 10.